Here in Chicago, nicknamed the City of Big Shoulders, there is a group of people who deny one of the most documented atrocities in history.
But all we ever hear about is the alleged loss of 6 million Jews.
Arthur Jones, a 2012 Republican candidate running for Congress in Illinois, called the Holocaust the biggest, blackest lie in history. Even though the Republican Party tried to keep his name off the ballot, he gathered enough signatures to qualify. Yet Jones is only one of many throughout the world denying the Holocaust. This denial is devastating to the descendants of the millions of Europe's Jews and other people who were persecuted and murdered during 1933 and 1945 by the German Nazi Party led by Adolf Hitler. Historians agree that nearly 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust, and this was a calculated and highly organized plan to exterminate the Jewish people, herding them into death camps where they were gassed upon arrival.
We tend to think that what the Nazis intended to do was to completely wipe out Germany's Jewish population, and then also proceed from there to destroy Jewish populations in places in Europe occupied by Germany. But in recent years, we have found that the Nazis actually intended to wipe out every Jewish person that they could find anywhere on the surface of the earth.
Yet why are there people still denying that the Holocaust happened? Some say there was absolutely no genocide, that the gas chambers never existed, as it would have been a scientific impossibility.
Δεν υπήρχαν φούρνοι.
Όχι, δεν υπήρχαν φούρνοι. Αυτό είναι ένα ψέμα. Εγώ πιστεύω ότι είναι ψέμα.
Ούτε θάλαμοι αέριων.
Ούτε θάλαμοι αέριων.
These deniers of the Holocaust say that the Jews created this myth to win sympathy from the world and get money from Germany, because Jews are just interested in money, they say.
Accepting a historical reality confirms legitimacy, that the victims have a legitimate claim to compensation, has a legitimate claim to legal redress, has a legitimate claim to empathy from the rest of humanity.
Iran's president denies the Holocaust to draw attention to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Your assumption is that this event took place. Where did it take place? Whom were the individuals responsible for this event? What does this have to do with the occupation of Palestine?
Other deniers call themselves revisionists and say that the number of Jews killed by the Nazis was far less than the 6 million.
I refuse the idea that I'm a Holocaust denier. I'm definitely a Holocaust questioner. I think there's a lot of items in there that do need to be re-examined.
In his book, Did 6 Million Really Die?, British author Richard Verrill claims that there were only around 3 million Jews that were actually in Europe during World War II. But historians have established that this fact is not true.
The Holocaust happened. It is a reality in history.
Fred Wysocki, a liberator of the concentration camps, is still tortured by what he saw there.
In that camp, there was a lot of Jewish people. And there was a lot more of them that were completely dead, too, and buried or burned or whatever.
Yet there are still those who deny. Scholars tell us that sometimes they do it just out of hate, to traumatize the descendants of the Holocaust. But there's also the discomfort of knowing that these horrors were committed by your countrymen.
I mean, nobody wants to accept the fact that their ancestors were perpetrators of genocide.
Historians warn that people may start to pay attention to Holocaust deniers in certain conditions, such as what led to the rise of Hitler, with the German people suffering from massive unemployment and the humiliation of World War I's Versailles Treaty. Some see this situation happening in Greece right now.
We look at the humiliation which the Greeks feel to this day from the very strict conditions that are being imposed on them by Europe and in particular Germany in return for the loans, we see danger.
She should see how the people are suffering, the anxiety we are going through, that there is no future.
Educating people about the Holocaust may be one way to help prevent it from happening again.
Knowing something about the Holocaust, understanding the Holocaust, learning about it, offers a warning signpost to every nation state about what not to do.
Today, there are museums and organizations throughout the world dedicated to preserving the history of the Holocaust. In addition, they are scrambling to record testimonies of the last remaining Holocaust survivors to provide the oral history of those that were there.
Being able to tell not only what they saw or what happened to them, but the way that it affected them and the loss that they felt.
My sister, who was 10 years old, 10 and a half, thereabout, she said, "Ma, I want to live a little longer. Let's go to the back of the crowd."
Thousands of testimonies like Essie's have been recorded and are stored at museums throughout the world in hopes that future generations will listen to their stories and understand the horrors they endured, that the Holocaust was real.
And then to have people in some parts of this world come out and say there was no Holocaust, I'd like to get a hold of them.